if you don't mind me asking, like, so
No, go.
obviously from everything you've described, you're just in a very crazy environment,
Hmm.
and you'd said like even right from day one, you said when you got to the orphanage, everyone was out, and you realised afterwards that they were basically just running around robbing places and so on and so
Oh yeah, and
forth.
I joined in. I was good at it
Yeah,
too.
so it's well, I guess that's my question. Like,
Yeah, of
given
course.
all of that, like how, because you said that after the riots happened at Carnival and stuff, you'd get up and you'd go to work. Like, how was it that, or you even mentioned that you realised this environment wasn't right for you, you wanted to go back to Enfield. How was it that you didn't get like so caught up in everything, or did you? Like, what was?
I'd love to be able to give you a better answer than
Yeah.
the truth,
Yeah.
but the truth is, I was afraid.
Mm.
I just wasn't wired for it. So, and we used to have a saying at the time, which was, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime.
100%.
And remember now, you'll be in prison by the time you're 16.
That's going on your.
So I can't do I can't do time. So
Yeah.
that's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So it would mean that I'd have to literally pull back
Yeah.
and not get. So what I would do is I figured out how to be involved without being involved.
Yeah.
So I'd be on the fringe of stuff, but then I would spend most of my time, with. I'd be out. If you're with a girl, that's an
Yeah.
alibi. There's nothing to be discussed. You're doing something sensible. So, or I'd be playing football, or I'd be working, or whatever. So I would kind of didn't really get too involved in it.
Yeah.
When we were kids and that, and we were in Enfield, when we used to go around and loot in the shops and do all sorts of stupidness. That was just more like hijinks. That was just more fun to me.
Yeah. You're a teenager.
Yeah, it was just nonsense. But I wouldn't do crazy things.
Yeah.
But interestingly, what happened in the generation that went before mine, those guys got in a lot of trouble. Most of those, a lot of them went to Borstal, went to prison, whatever else. But my generation, they all became fathers while they were children. So we were like, my eldest daughter Chantal, I was a father when I was just after my 20th birthday. So I didn't really have too much time to get into too much mayhem. So I left school when I stayed on for an extra year because I wasn't. So when 16 we were supposed to leave school. I stayed on for another year because I really wasn't ready to leave. So by the time I stayed on, everybody had moved out. So that also meant that I was now very much the eldest in the orphanage. So I could kind of set the rhythm of the place. And then I went to the Grove in 77. So 77, 78 I was in Grove. Then I went to Enfield. Then I went to Tottenham, and then I went to Crouch End. And then I met the children's mum. And then what happened was I thought, oh, this is cool, because that felt like going back to Surrey, because this was in some nice little suburb in East London. I thought, oh, this is going to be really cool. So, but what I didn't realise was that the reason that she was fascinated with me was because I came from this troubled background. So we did this exchange. I went back to being this kid that was growing up in Addleston, and she went out and she became some nutcase. And but then by that time, so now I'm a father now. So now I'm a father. I'm kind of, my whole vibe changed. So I'm not doing anything. I just want to look after my girl and take care of my daughter, and and then we had another daughter, and so I was just into the whole provision thing. So it kind of just jumped out.
As someone that grew up in the orphanage, found out you were fostered quite young, what's it now like being a dad and having a family when you've not had a family, certainly for 7-8 years or however long it was, or 10 years actually, and then even the family that you did have, you realised wasn't your family. Like, did that ever play on your head? Was that a big thing for you? Or?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the fatherhood is the thing. Being a father is the thing I'm probably proudest of everything I've ever done or seen or whatever. That's the thing I'm most proud of. I'm most proud of the fact that my children, who are the eldest is 38 and the youngest is 32.
Oh, you popped them out.
I'm saying. But you see, part of that was because I knew that I had to completely be. So it was a whole
focus on it.
Exactly right.
Project
exactly
almost,
right.
Yeah.
And also, we didn't have a television, so that was. But in all seriousness, because the girls they were old now. They're older now, and I think that. So I'm most proud of the fact that my children are my friends now. And that's amazing to me that I can go out with my youngest, my son lives in Rio, or my youngest girl, any of them actually, we go out as friends and we talk, and it's an amazing privilege. So, but to go back to the core of your question, the thing that was interesting to me about Chantal, and I remember when she was born in Westminster Hospital, and I remember the midwife giving her to me and saying, "Oh, she's your problem now." I remember that very well. And I said, "No, you don't understand. She's not my problem. This is my pleasure," because she was the first person I'd ever seen in my life who was related to me.
Oh wow! Yeah.
I've never seen anyone that's my relative, but this child was
yours. Yeah,
mine. We were the same blood. And so to me, being a father was much more than I'm a daddy now.
Yeah.
There is one person on this earth who's my relative.
Yeah.
And that was deep. That went really deep. And if you see Chantal, you see me with Chantal, Haley will tell you, they don't even bother, because those two are together. It's like there's some sort of weird inseparable twin thing going on. It's very strange, but it's because this is my blood, right? And I've got 4 people, or 7. I've got 7 people in the world who are my blood. I've got my 4 children, and I've got my 3 grandchildren, and those are they're my, of course, Haley, but they're my kin, and that's deep. Particularly when everybody else around me was kind of like not pretending, that would be not right, but we're kind of we were called my family, but they weren't my family. So that was really serious. So to become a father meant that I had an opportunity, Damini, to I guess it meant to me that I had an opportunity to kind of change the narrative, to change the story. So I was able to kind of say it was time for me to close down the whole thing with the orphanage thing and running with those boys and all that, and even the clubs and all that whole world, because we had a whole really interesting thing going on in our social. I mean, Haley, who I've known since we've known each other since we were children, since we were 11.
I didn't realise that.
Yeah, we've known each other since very little, because Haley lived we both lived in Enfield. Haley lived in there as well. So she and I have been friends since 11 years old. We first met.
Oh, crazy.
And that whole scene, because her brother is her brother is a guy, if you know depending on how well you know the whole garage scene and all the rest of it, her brother's a guy called Paul Trouble Anderson. Is her brother, and he's like the DJ of DJs. If you talk about, like Kiss FM and all that, he was one of the founders of Kiss, and he's like top. So it's like,
I need to get him on my podcast.
You should get Paul on there. Actually, Paul is amazing. He's just amazing. He really is amazing. And so we kind of came out of that whole
world.
Yeah. And so to me, it was just I've got a chance to write a different chapter, and I was determined to write a different story for my children. And of course, in the end, a lot of it was repeated, because there was, my marriage was a train wreck, and all sorts of things happened there, and that became therein lay another story. And of course, about Chantal, and we had the whole.
I was about to ask if you don't mind, could you tell us about the file?